canine dog barks at his partner's funeral. What lies beneath shocks all. The air was quiet. Too quiet for a funeral. A light breeze moved through the trees, but even the wind seemed to slow down out of respect. Rows of police officers stood in their dress uniforms. Hats in hand, the bagpipes had just stopped playing, and a heavy stillness settled over the cemetery. Lieutenant Mara Steele stood near the front, her face hard to read, but her eyes stayed on one thing. Thunder. Thunder was a sable Belgian Malinois, a retired canine who used to work search and rescue missions. He had served with Officer Eli Ward for nearly 5 years before retiring. They were more than a team. They were like brothers. When Eli died in what was called a sting operation gone wrong, Thunder had barely eaten for days. So today, he was brought to Eli's funeral to say goodbye. He sat quietly by the grave, ears down, eyes locked on the fresh dirt. Then, something changed. Thunder let out a low whine. No one noticed at first. Then came a growl, deep and rumbling. From his chest, officers glanced around, confused. When Thunder suddenly lunged toward the grave and started digging, chaos followed Thunder. Mara called out. Rushing forward, Thunder didn't stop. His paws tore at the dirt, flinging it everywhere. His nose was pressed into the ground. Then he barked. Once, twice, 3 sharp barks. Mara froze. She had heard that bark before. It wasn't a normal bark. It was his signal, his trained way of telling his handler that he found something important. It was the same sound he made when he found a buried body under a collapsed building in Queens. The same bark that had once saved her life. Something's wrong, she whispered. An officer tried to pull Thunder away, gently. It's okay, boy. Let him rest, the young man said. Thunder didn't growl at the officer. He growled at the grave itself. Then he dug faster. Mara stepped forward and knelt beside him. He's trying to tell us something, she said firmly. The priest stopped mid-prayer. People looked around, whispering. Eli's sister gasped. The honor guard stood stiff, unsure of what to do. Mara placed her hand on Thunder's collar. His eyes met hers. They were dark, serious, and full of something she hadn't seen since the night of the warehouse fire. The night Thunder dragged her out just seconds before an explosion. I've seen this look before, she said. No one argued with her when she called in 2 detectives, a forensic expert and a coroner to reopen the grave. It was unheard of. A sealed grave, opened at a funeral? Some officers called it disrespectful. The priest even tried to stop them, but Mara stood her ground. We don't ignore a canine alert, she said. Not ever. The crowd was asked to move back. Thunder sat beside the grave, completely still, eyes locked. On the hole he had made, his body was tense, like a coiled spring. When the lid of the casket was finally opened, the silence that followed was heavier than anything the funeral had brought before. The casket was empty. Nobody, just a small plastic bag. Inside it, a blood-stained police badge and a cheap burner phone, still powered on. Someone hit play on the only audio recording saved on it. A voice filled the air. If anyone finds this, I don't know how much time I have. They replaced me. It's not me in the coffin. If you're hearing this, they've already done it. I tried to run, but they drugged me. I think someone helped them from the inside. She's the key, CLA. Don't let them find her. She knows too much. Then came static. A loud thump, then silence. The voice was Officer Eli Ward. Thunder let out a soft bark and sat down again, like he was saying, I told you so. Mara stood there, eyes wide. If that's not Eli, she asked quietly, then who did we bury? 20 feet away, a woman stood at the edge of the crowd. She was pale, with trembling hands. She wore a blue coat too big for her. Her name was Nadia Kerr. She had never met Eli Ward, and yet she had come to his funeral. Nadia Kerr sat in a small police interview room. Her hands shook as she held a bottle of water. She looked down at the table, avoiding everyone's eyes. Her coat was now folded on the chair beside her. Lieutenant Mara Steele and Detective Omar Nasir watched her from behind a 2-way mirror. Thunder lay on the floor beside Mara, his eyes never leaving Nadia. She looks terrified. Nasir said she should be. Mara replied. Mara stepped into the room. Her voice was calm but firm. Nadia, why were you at Officer Eli Ward's funeral? Nadia looked up, her eyes wide. I don't know, I swear. I didn't even know who he was. I just woke up this morning and felt sick. Something in my gut told me to drive. I passed the cemetery, saw the crowd, and parked. I didn't plan it. I just stood in the back. Nasir leaned forward. You were 20 feet from the grave when Thunder barked. Why? I don't know. Nadia cried. Please believe me. I wasn't trying to interrupt anything. Mara nodded slowly. Have you gotten any strange messages lately? Emails? Phone calls? Nadia hesitated. Yes, she said softly. For the last 2 weeks, someone kept texting me. From a number I didn't know, just weird stuff. Coordinates, dates, names I've never heard of. Did you reply? No. I blocked the number. But then, someone left a note on my car. It said, don't trust the funeral. I didn't understand it. Just then, Thunder stood up. He sniffed the air. He walked over to Nadia's coat, sniffed it, and barked. Once. Twice, 3 times, Mara froze. That's the signal, she whispered. Nassau rushed into the room. Step back, he ordered. Thunder growled, not at Nadia, but at the coat. Mara picked it up carefully and began to search through it. The inside felt thicker than it should have. She found a small pouch sewn into the lining. She cut it open with a pocket knife. Inside was a flat, blinking device. Wires ran across it like tiny veins. It didn't look like anything military, but it looked dangerous. What is it? Nadia asked. Nasser examined it closely. It's a transmitter, a live one, and it's still sending a signal. Thunder barked again, louder. It's not just a tracker. Mara said, it's a lure. Someone used this to bait Thunder, and maybe to trigger something else. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Then again, a loud pop echoed from the hallway. Thunder spun and bolted for the door, barking like a fire alarm. Mara and Nasir followed, drawing their weapons. Officers in the hallway were already turning toward the sound. Thunder stopped outside a utility closet and growled. A janitor stood nearby, holding a mop. His eyes were wide. He didn't move, sir, Mara said, raising her voice. Open that door, now. The janitor didn't respond. He turned and ran. He barely made it 5 steps. Thunder launched, grabbing his arm with powerful jaws and dragging him to the ground. Officers rushed in and pinned the man down. Inside the closet, they found another device. This one with a countdown timer. The bomb squad arrived within minutes. Both devices were disarmed. No one was hurt, but the message was clear. Someone had used Nadia to carry the first transmitter. The funeral had been a trap. Back in the evidence room, the tech team studied the device from Nadia's coat. One analyst shook his head. This thing was custom-made, he said. Not military, but high level. It's not just for tracking. It boosts signals, like a mini-satellite. Mara and Nasir looked at each other. Coordinates? Nasir asked. 3 preset locations, the analyst said. One of them matches the cemetery. Mara's stomach turned. That's not a mistake. Later, in the holding room, Nadia sat on a bench, hugging herself. Thunder paced slowly, sniffing her shoes. Her hands, her hair. He didn't growl. He didn't bark, but he didn't stop watching. I don't understand, she whispered. Why me? Mara sat beside her. We think someone used you as a carrier. You didn't know. But Thunder? He saw the truth. Nadia nodded, wiping tears. That coat, it wasn't even mine. It was my husband's. I just grabbed it this morning. I didn't see him before I left. Mara's eyes narrowed. What does your husband do? Nadia hesitated. He's a tech consultant. Lots of private contracts. He says it's defense work, but we never talk about it. Mara and Nasir exchanged a glance. A coat that wasn't hers, a transmitter sewn in, and a husband who worked with high-tech systems. This wasn't just about Nadia anymore. Thunder sat by the door, his body stiff, his ears alert. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. It was just past midnight when the police found the first real clue about where Officer Eli Ward might be. Detective Omar Nisar stood in front of a computer screen, watching security footage from a storage facility near the Brooklyn docks. The grainy video showed a black SUV pulling into a storage unit at 343A. A tall man stepped out. He moved slowly and had a limp in his right leg. The man looked up at the camera for only a second, but that was enough. That's him, Nessa whispered. That's Eli. Mara Steele stood behind him. Thunder, lying at her feet, perked up and whined as soon as Eli's face appeared on the screen. We found him, Mara said. He's alive within the hour. A SWAT team was sent to the storage unit. The building had no windows. The front door was locked and covered in metal. Heat sensors showed someone inside. Movement, slow and uneven. Thunder was brought along. Mara insisted. If Eli's alive, Thunder is the only one he'll trust. She told Nasir. The team surrounded the building. Drones flew above. Officers took positions quietly. Thunder sniffed the ground near the door and let out a low growl. "Ready?" Mara asked. "Ready," said Nasser. He gave the signal. The door was broken open, and the team rushed inside. Flashlights cut through the darkness. Shouts filled the air. Thunder didn't wait for commands. He ran down a side hallway, barking hard and fast. Mara followed him, heart racing. At the end of the hall was a steel door. Thunder stopped there and barked 3 times. The same way he had at the grave. "It's him," Mara whispered. The team opened the door. Inside, chained to a pipe, was Officer Eli Ward. He was bruised, bloody, and barely conscious, but he was alive. Thunder rushed to him, pushing his head into Eli's chest. Eli's hands shook as he reached up and hugged the dog tightly, tears running down his face. "You found me, boy," Eli whispered. "You found me." Mara knelt beside them. "You're safe now." "Eli, we've got you." But Eli's voice was weak and broken. "They used me. They needed my body to fake a funeral. They needed my name to hide something bigger." Nazar searched the small room and found another transmitter, almost identical to the one found in Nadia's coat. It was hooked up to wires and a power source. "This isn't just a trap," he said. "This was a full setup then." Mara's radio buzzed. "We found a burner phone on the table." An officer reported. "One unread message. It just says, 'Check the coffin again.'" Mara's face turned pale. "Tell them to get back to the cemetery," she said. "Right now." An hour later, back at the cemetery, the grave was opened again. This time, the team searched every inch of the casket. It looked empty again, but when they lifted the wooden base inside the coffin, they found a secret compartment. Inside was a small black box, blinking with a soft red light. The bomb squad stepped in quickly. After examining it, they shook their heads. "It's not a bomb," one said. "Not exactly." "It's a surveillance device," said another. "It's been recording and transmitting data the whole time. Signals, phone calls, police radios." The funeral wasn't just a cover for Eli's fake death. It was used to plant a spy device right in the middle of a crowd full of high-ranking officers, detectives, and government officials. Nadia hadn't been there by chance. Her presence, her coat, the transmitter, it had all been timed perfectly to activate the device. And Thunder had stopped the plan. Just in time, that same night, officers searched the home of Nadia's husband, Felix Carr, but he was gone, vanished. No credit card use, no camera footage, no phone signal. However, in his garage, under a hidden panel in the floor, they found something that made everyone go quiet. Wires, scramblers, drones, signal jammers, and a wall full of photographs. Photos of police officers, government agents, and even Thunder. He wasn't just spying, Nesser said. He was watching us, planning this for months, maybe years. Thunder stood in front of the wall and growled. "Felix." Carr was no regular tech worker. He was a trained spy, and they had barely stopped his plan. The next morning, the police cemetery was closed off for the second time in 2 days. Detectives, bomb experts, and security teams stood around the reopened grave. The secret device found under the casket had shocked everyone. It wasn't just a tracker or a camera. It was something worse. It had been recording and sending signals from the funeral to someone far away. They buried a listening device, Nasser said. In the middle of a funeral, Mara shook her head. They didn't bury a man, they buried a lie. The spy network had used Officer Eli Ward's death as a cover. Dozens of high-level officers had been present. Their phones, earpieces, and private conversations had been recorded without anyone knowing. But thanks to Thunder, the plan had failed. At the hospital, Eli was recovering. He had lost weight and had deep cuts on his arms and face. But he was alive. Thunder refused to leave his side, even lying on the hospital floor beside his bed through the night. Mara visited him and brought good news. "Felix Carr is on the run," she said. "Interpol and the FBI are after him. He used 3 fake names, set up offshore accounts, and built surveillance tools by hand. But he left one thing behind." Eli raised an eyebrow. "What?" "You," Mara said, smiling. "He thought you were dead. He thought we'd never listen to the dog." Eli reached down and stroked Thunder's head. But Thunder knew. Across town, Nadia Kerr sat in a trauma center. She hadn't gone home. The truth had hit her hard. Her husband wasn't who he claimed to be. He had used her, her phone, her life, even her body. As part of his plan, Mara visited her on the 3rd day. Nadia sat by the window, holding a newspaper clipping. It was a photo of Thunder at the grave. Covered in dirt, the headline read, Police dog exposes funeral plot. I kept thinking, Nadia whispered. What if I hadn't gone to the cemetery? What if Thunder hadn't barked? Mara sat beside her. That's not your burden to carry, she said gently. But I wore the transmitter. Nadia said, I was the key. No, Mara said, you were a victim. You were someone trying to live your life. And Thunder. He saw that. He didn't bark at you. He barked at what was hiding on you. Nadia looked at the photo. Can I see him someday? Mara smiled. He's waiting. 1 week later, a small ceremony was held behind the precinct building. No press, no reporters, just police officers and a few friends. Thunder was awarded the Medal of Valor. Eli, now out of the hospital with his arm, in a sling, gave a short speech. He saved me, he said simply, and he saved all of us. Then he knelt beside Thunder, kissed his head, and said, You brought me home. Thunder wagged his tail and licked Eli's face. Later, Nadia came to visit. She knelt beside Thunder and reached out her hand. He sniffed it, then gently licked it. I think he forgives me, she whispered. He never blamed you, Eli said. Dogs don't work like that. Nadia pulled something from her bag. It was a small stuffed dog toy, brown and black, just like Thunder. I bought this for my students, she said, but I think it belongs to him now. Thunder took the toy in his mouth and sat proudly. Time passed. Nadia moved in with her sister and started seeing a therapist. She stopped teaching for a while, but began writing in a journal. One entry said, he used my life like a tool, but Thunder saw who I really was. And that's how I knew I could still heal. Eli returned to light duty at the K-9 training field. Thunder was offered retirement, but Eli said no. He still has more to say. Every Thursday at 4:00 p.m., Thunder walked to the edge of the precinct courtyard and sat facing east. He never barked. He never moved. He just sat. Mara noticed it one day. That's the exact time he barked at the grave, she said. He's remembering. One evening, Eli took Thunder for a walk. No leash, no uniform, just the two of them. At the cemetery, they stood by the now empty grave. A new stone had been placed there. On it were 5 simple words. Some heroes wear collars. Thunder sat beside it, quiet and proud. Eli placed a hand on his head and whispered, Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Love Tales of Tales, for long, heartwarming pets and animals. Love stories that stay with you long after they end.